And you got to do it twice because you did it for the Man on the Moon movie. You kind of reenacted it.
Oh yeah.
Letterman was there, and you had. Did you actually slap Jim Carrey? Was that a stunt double?
No, I actually got to slap Jim Carrey. I honestly slapped Jim Carrey harder than I slapped Andy Kaufman, if that was possible, because Jim Carrey had gone out of his way to make life miserable for me while I was filming the movie on the moon. And so apparently what Jim forgot was the fact that we were shooting scenes and sequences out of order. And the last thing, I guess they say for last because of David Letterman's availability, but the last scenes that we shot for the movie with Jim and I together was the Letterman scenes in New York. And so I'm sure that when we got to New York, he presented me with this really nice North Face jacket and a couple other gifts and things like that. I guess trying to make amends for the fact that he had been such a jerk during the filming. But all of those gifts didn't sway my opinion of him. So when it came time for the slap to come around, man, I unloaded on him, knocked him right out of the chair. And I think he was a little woozy there for a little bit. And when he finally got up to his feet, he was holding the side of his head, and he looked out at the director, Milos Forman, and he's, I hope you got that in one take, because I certainly can't do that again. So that was a one take. That was a one take shot.
What did Jim Carrey do that pissed you off?
Well, apparently, during the filming of the movie, Jim, he really wanted to play this part. I mean, he really wanted of Andy Kaufman. I mean, real bad. They, when they were casting for the movie, there's several people want to play this part of Andy, because Andy was like a cult hero to a lot of comedians. And so when Jim Carrey won the role, he wanted, I don't know, it was just something, I don't know if you call it method acting or what it was, but he really, some people were saying he was trying to channel Andy Kaufman's actual, character and his persona. He was so into this, playing this part, that you never saw him on set without being completely in makeup. He came to the set already as Andy Kaufman. He left as Andy Kaufman. During the entire shooting of all the scenes, everyone had to refer to him as Andy. If you called him Jim or Jim Carrey, he wouldn't even respond. Even the director, Milos Forman now, I mean, this is one of the most famous directors ever, directed One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and the producer, Michael Houseman, everybody had to refer to Jim Carrey as Andy. It was just, and apparently Jim thought that Andy and I were really bitter enemies. And so he all through the filming, during all the scenes, he would do different things that would try to tick me off. And I mean, he threw a bottle of Gatorade and busted it right at my feet, splashed it all over me. The first day we were out there, I went around and taped the whole scenes one day with Danny DeVito and several other things. The scene where we were in Danny's Andy's manager's office, where he told us he didn't think we should work together anymore. At the end of the filming, somebody said, "Hey, you got something on your back," and I looked over at him, and he had this big smile on his face, and I reached around, and he had come up and patted me on the back earlier, like an hour beforehand, and he stuck a sign on my back that said Hulk Hogan wannabe. And I was wearing this thing around during the whole filming of that scene. Didn't realize it. So he just, he was, at one time he threw eggs at me as we were walking down the sidewalk. He was already inside the building where we were going to shoot a scene, and all of a sudden these eggs started breaking at our feet. And I look up, and here's Jim Carrey up on the third floor, leaning out the window, throwing raw eggs down at me, trying to hit me with eggs. So he just did a lot of things. It went so far to the point where I finally went to Milos Forman, and I said, "Has this guy even read the script? Does he not realize that Andy and I were actually friends? I mean, what is wrong with him?" And so anyway, that just kept playing out all through the scenes until it was time for me to do the Letterman scene and actually slap the taste out of his mouth. And then he was all Mr. Nice Guy after that.